What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined to my right by Rachel Mogan.
How's it going?
And no one else.
How sad.
It's a sad day.
We haven't had
We did
any?
one. We've had one where it was earlier, a month or so ago, I think, and Zach wasn't able to make it for one reason or something. Oh, it's when he was traveling with his job.
And everything,
yeah, that's
and,
had to go way out to Lake Tahoe, something like that.
I don't know, somewhere out there.
Nowhere with internet connection, so he couldn't Skype in for us. But today he's out and he'll actually probably be out, I think, for the next 2-3 episodes maybe, because he's in full swing production of his movie. So he has no time for plebs like us when he has important things to do, like making a feature film, which I have no doubt will be excellent. So
I know, I can't wait.
I know.
Excited to see how it turns out.
It's going to be great. I think we both backed him on Kickstarter.
I think so.
Yeah,
we're cool people.
Going to get that copy of that film. So he's out doing that, doing his thing, and we anxiously await his return, though, to Team Chat.
We do.
Okay, well, in case you did not know, Team Chat Podcast is a video game podcast where we talk about games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. If you want to get in contact with us, well, send us an email at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our iTunes and YouTube channel. Also, if you listen to other podcast services, we're on those too. Those are just the two main places. Like, we're on Google Play, Stitcher. Maybe that's it. I can't think of it. I've tried to get us on Spotify.
Oh,
I don't know if that's
is
working
that a
out
hard
yet.
Process?
Apparently. You have to send it in and get submitted. They only have a few podcasts anyway, but
I'm one of those people that doesn't even use Spotify. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's weird to me.
I like Apple Music, but
Apple Music. I haven't heard any person say those words before.
Well, because it syncs across all my devices. It's a whole
whatever.
thing. It already adds all my music that I already have. Anyway, different conversation for a different time. But you can find us on other streaming services, not just iTunes. But video only is on YouTube, so check us out there. If you want to support the show, you can do that as well by going to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show. And in return, we will give you a cool perk, like getting the episodes early before their general Tuesday release and access to our private Discord server.
A lot of good conversations.
A lot of good topics come up the last couple weeks, too, so it's a great place. You should
as
check it out.
many memes as you can shake a stick at. Mm-hmm. Especially that Crash Bandicoot whoa meme. I'm still not over it.
You've shared that like 2 or 3 times.
I love it. But they're all different videos. They're all different songs, man.
Oh, man.
You got to get the whole collection. It's awesome.
The hit CD.
Crash Bandicoot.
Nice.
As Rick Astley. And others.
All right, well, we do have an update on the song contest in that no one guessed it. Michael Sandoval gave us the hint last week as You're Too Slow. The game was Sonic 2.
I think I said Sonic at one point.
You might
probably not the right Sonic.
But you also, you guessed last week's game. So
true.
You can't go twice in a row.
Right,
so because of that, Mogan will give us a hint for the at the end of today's episode. All right, well, we have a couple different things to talk about today. We're going to be talking about a little random assortment of topics, but a little bit of news and a little bit of gaming to come out. So we'll start with the oldest thing first, which would be Mogan. What do you want to talk about today?
Tekken 7.
Yes.
Okay, so I was recently on vacation, and one of the oldest games that our family has ever loved and supported and stuck with almost our entire lives is the Tekken series. Tekken 2 was like one of the first games we ever had on PlayStation 1. Mm-hmm. And I think the Tekken 1 was only in arcades. So if it was even on consoles, they may have done it later. It might be
now, but
they may have
the
done it
original
later.
Mortal Kombat is now on PSN and stuff like that.
But so Tekken has been a long-standing and beautiful series within our family, and Tekken 7 is really the kind of game that I prefer to play with other people. Like, I might play it on my own sometimes, but it's not the kind of thing where, like with Overwatch, for example, where I'll come home and just play like an hour or even 2 of Overwatch just by myself, not even with other people.
Predominantly how I play it.
Yeah, or for example, things like Life is Strange. It's not that kind of game where I tend to just go, hey, you know what? I'm bored and I'm on my own. I'm going to play Tekken. Yeah. Tekken is like, in my mind, a family game. So when I was home over I know, right? What? It's a little strange.
It's a family game as we bash each other.
I'm pretty sure it's only rated T for teen, so it's fine.
Yep.
It's got fake blood. It's not real. So we were home over vacation, and any time that it rained even a little bit, because it was down in Alabama during hurricane season, blah, 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 we would play Tekken nonstop. And sometimes not even really together. Like, one of us would be practicing with another character, and the other person would be like, you suck. The other person was me saying that he sucks.
All that heckling. Yeah.
All the heckling, exactly. But so with Tekken 7, there are a couple of really important things that I just kind of want to talk about. And even though you can't enjoy them with me, they're important to me.
I don't even know if I played a Tekken game. I played Mortal Kombat some, but like the old ones. It's like I haven't even played the new one, even though I was briefly interested in getting it at a time, but I didn't even pick it up. So fighting games just normally aren't my thing, except for For Honor now. I'm super into that one. But
that's not a fighting game.
It kind of is.
It's not.
Kind of.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not a fighting game. It's a different kind of game. Yeah. It's not a fighting game. Has it been in arcades? No.
No, hasn't.
All right. So anyway, speaking of fighting games, it is really important to point out that Tekken is, for a lot of other fighting gamers, a really bizarre game. Because if you're coming from the Street Fighter world, for example, Street Fighter is all about like tilts and half circles and full circles and quarter circles. And really the analog sticks are primarily how you make things happen with your character. It's not nearly as much about your D-pad or your, I just call them buttons, or about the buttons. Whereas with Tekken, each limb is intentionally mapped to one button. Triangle is your left arm, square is your right arm, and the same goes for your legs. So if I hit X, it is always going to move my left leg. If I hit circle, it is always going to move my right leg.
Okay.
So Tekken is very, I guess, baffling to some people that have never played a game in that way. And it's the same across all platforms, because Tekken 7 is actually also for PC. I don't know who's playing it on PC. That's genuinely something that blows my mind.
That seems like it wouldn't be as enjoyable.
I know, right? I'm like, why would you play it on PC?
Yeah, that's a really weird. I don't know, because that's a really weird. I wouldn't think I would like Mortal Kombat or
actually,
anything
the
like that
only reason I even know it's for PC is because I was watching a streamer to try and get some tips on a certain character, and I realized that as she was talking, she was saying buttons that didn't make sense to me, and I was like, what is she playing on?
Yeah.
Turns out it was on PC, and I was like, why? Why would you play it on PC?
That's really random.
But it doesn't matter. So
Side note.
the correct way to play it is on the PlayStation where it belongs. And you need an actual controller in your hands. It's just correct. So when you're actually having to use each limb for a very specific purpose and combine that with your D-pad in terms of a tap forward, a hold forward, a quarter up circle, quarter down circle, it can get really, really complicated.
Yeah. And
this is kind of one of the first times that I've tried to use a more planned out and strategic approach to the Tekken series. I've always been a button masher. No shame. I'm not sorry about who I am.
That's normally how I have to do, because the combos are so hard to learn.
Exactly. So actually something that Bro Mogan has really helped me with is by watching him practice certain characters, it's really illuminating to get a sense for how you create your own combos by exactly what it sounds like, by piecing together other smaller moves. So for example, with Tekken 7, the big things are launch moves and spin moves. So for example, if you launch somebody into the air, they have no way to guard against you. You know, when you're in the air, there's nothing you can do. You're just an open target.
Okay.
So if you use a triangle up kick or a up punch, they go flying into the air. If they don't go too far, like if you send them straight up and not out, you can then follow that up with more moves that will hit them while they're still in the air.
Okay.
And then if you can plan it properly and follow up those moves with a spin out move, when they hit the ground, they'll land on their back and their feet will still kind of be in the air, and you can still hit them. So when a character hits the ground and they're totally flat on their back, you can't continue to hit them unless it's with like a low kick.
Okay.
Not many combos go that low for you to continue when somebody is flat on the ground. But if their feet are still in the air, you can still get them with mid and high hits, which means you can continue those brutal combos for as long as you can until they're finally flat out and they have a chance to get up.
Okay.
It's a complicated process.
Sounds like it.
But it's amazingly rewarding when you figure out how to actually put together your own combos to just be devastating. And I do suck with the majority of characters. But my current favorites are Josie. She's from the Philippines, I think.
Okay.
I can't actually verify that. I just think I read it on the Tekken wiki somehow. And she's a crybaby, so she's excellent. And Lily, a French aristocratic snob who is excellent. And she has a butler named Alfred. So
kind of a rip-off Batman.
Kind of a rip-off.
Whatever.
Well, Lily probably came first. I'm just kidding. She didn't. But anyways, so I would highly recommend the game to anyone that's looking for either just an excellent fighter game experience, period. Or B, if you've finally seen the light and you've decided Street Fighter blows and you want to go with a way better gaming experience. And actually, that's really... Tekken 7 highlights those differences in extreme because one of the special guest characters in Tekken 7 is Akuma from Street Fighter.
Oh, okay.
And because of that, his moves work like Street Fighter controls do. So he's the only character where you're having to use these wild tilts, and it's just like, this freaking blows! I hate Street Fighter, and I hate Akuma! This is horrible! And they really tried to weave him into the story and lore of Tekken 7, which makes it just baffling. So that's an
odd crossover. If there's not a precedent for it in the past, that's kind of a weird.
No, so I don't know how much you know about Tekken lore, but it's an amazing history. So I guess we'll just start at the beginning. And actually, that's a good point because Tekken 7's whole story premise is that they're starting from the beginning because it's going back to track why the Mishima family, which is the main villain family in the Tekken universe, has always been such douchebags. And essentially, it starts with Heihachi, the patriarch of the Mishima clan, throwing his own son Kazuya at probably the age of 7 or something off a mountain, like into a volcano or something.
Why?
But just because he was too weak, at the age of 7.
So it's like the Spartan thing where it's like,
exactly,
if they were born deformed or something.
Even though he
like
was
that,
actually super good at fighting, just not by Heihachi standards. So anyways, he throws him off a cliff, and obviously Kazuya is pretty bummed about it. Like, he's not cool with it. So that really kind of starts the eternal struggle of son versus father versus grandson versus grandfather. They all just hate each other's guts.
Okay.
But before any of that happened, Heihachi did actually have a wife. And her name was Kazumi. And she's amazing and awesome. And she's in Tekken 7 as one of the playable characters.
Has she not been in any of the others?
No, so she's new. So she's a totally new character, and the lore that they're trying to spin here is that Kazumi, Heihachi's wife, knew that Heihachi was a horrible, just bad, crazy guy, and she was like, I think he's probably going to kill me someday. And if he does, hey, Akuma from Street Fighter, if you could take him out for me after my death, that'd be just super. So, that's how they tried to spin it into Tekken 7, and I don't really agree that it totally works.
As someone who's never played the game, I don't necessarily think that's just a weird way to implant a character from another series.
They could have just had him be visiting from abroad.
Yeah.
But whatever. So I don't necessarily think it works as well as they may have hoped it would, but also it's Tekken. They have always billed themselves as ridiculous. Right. And so it's like none of the fans are like, oh,
I mean, all those fighting games are
exactly. So it's just more of the ridiculous that we are used to and that we love, even if we hate Akuma and Street Fighter. So the point is, the roster of all characters is excellent so far. There are going to be more DLC characters in the future, which I do hope they will bring back some notable missing characters. In the Tekken series, Lei Wulong, the Changs, Julia Chang and Michelle Chang, and who's that other guy? Oh, we all want Kunimitsu back, but she's probably never coming back, even though she's amazing. Anna Williams, Nina's amazingly slutty sister. She's the best! She's so great. So there are a lot of characters that are really old and deeply ingrained into the series that aren't in Tekken 7.
Okay.
And in their place are these weird new characters like Lucky Chloe that nobody likes, and we kind of wish they would go away. So the hope is that the DLC will pepper back in those old characters, and they're already doing quite a bit with the DLC. If you bought the first day edition of the game like I did, you already had one DLC character pre-unlocked, and that's this demon woman Eliza.
Okay.
She's kind of cool, but I never play her. She's a little too Hot Topic goth. Not really my style.
Good to stay away from that.
Again, gonna stay away from that. But they are just... Actually, I think it may have just launched and I haven't gotten it yet. They did a DLC mode of everybody's favorite Tekken bowling.
Oh my God.
You probably don't know about it.
No, didn't you talk about this
Yes.
you've talked about it before, because isn't that one of the songs that you picked from long ago?
No,
Wasn't
that was from Tekken Ball. So Tekken Ball is like beach volleyball, which is the best.
Right.
But Tekken Bowling is just a really old version. I think it was either Tekken Tag or Tekken 3. I can't remember. I want to say Tekken 3. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's bowling, but with Tekken characters. And the mechanics were amazingly complicated. And it was so rewarding to play. And so I'm so excited that they brought it back as DLC. So I'm really, really interested to see how it's going to be in the new iteration.
So when did that come out? That came out in earlier this year, right?
Yeah, Tekken 7 came out back in March.
Okay.
I want to say
it's
it was
September
March or
now,
April.
so like there's been enough year that lots of stuff has come out now.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
confused as what's come out. Yeah. The fighting games for me are always like they always look interesting. Like I really was seriously considering buying Mortal Kombat X when it came out.
Boo, Tekken.
Well, because I hadn't played any Tekken, I'd played Mortal Kombat before.
Now's the time.
but even that and it was mostly because like the executions or the fatalities in Mortal Kombat are ridiculous and they're over the,
Well, if you love executions and fatalities,
Tekken
wait
has
till I
boatloads?
tell you about rages.
Oh.
So one of the things that Tekken 7 it's really kind of building on an older system is rage arts.
Okay.
So if your health bar gets down to a certain percentage and you're really kind of on your last leg, your character will get this kind of red flame around them and they'll go into rage. And all that means is that you can then use 2 special moves. You can use your rage drive, which is really kind of a very active driving move forward, where you're usually setting up a combo or integrating your rage drive into an existing combo.
Okay.
Or there are these moves like fatalities, which are rage arts. And that's really kind of like a cheater move because really all you have to do is push, I think they have it preset to R1, but we always remap it to R3 to do your rage art. And it's like this cool, really cutscene-y move, where as long as it hits, as long as it actually lands based on the positioning and the distance and whether or not the other person is blocking, it'll go into this really awesome cutscene of the move. And it's different for every character.
Oh, that's neat.
And some of them are really ridiculous and hilarious, and others are really cool and wild. So if you love fatalities and executions, boy, buddy, you're going to love Tekken 7.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like it's one of those I would definitely play like with a friend or like over at your apartment or something like that. Like I don't think I would ever get to a point where I would buy it necessarily myself, just because they're not as much my cup of tea. But still, I do enjoy. Well, okay. So case in point, I did play the one fighting game I have actually played all the way through to completion is Injustice: Gods Among Us, the DC themed one. It's made by the same developer as Mortal Kombat NetherRealm, and so I played that one because it was a PS Plus game, and so I was like, okay, sure, yeah, had fun, enjoyed it, thought I did okay with it. Earlier this year when Sam and I went to New York with the friends we were staying with, he had Injustice also. And so he's like, you want to play some Injustice? I was like, sure, yeah. Creamed me. Just walked all over me. Granted, it had been a little bit since I'd played the game at that point, but I was like, I've played this. I know some combos. It'll come back to me. No, it did not. And he beat me. We played like 9 games, and he was like, and he just beat me every single one. Then he was just like, we can play Halo if you want.
The conciliatory game.
I was like, oh, okay.
The shame. You bring dishonor on your family.
Yeah. So yeah, they're just not as much my thing. I'll stick to For Honor, the new fighting game.
If you like For Honor, boy, buddy, you're going to love Tekken 7. I do think that anyone that's looking for that next fighting game experience, just skip right to Tekken 7. It's a crazy game. The character customization features are excellent, and they have a lot of really fun features like being able to change the soundtrack to older games.
Oh, that's cool.
And they've got a lot of really fun integrated
feature,
stuff.
Especially if you love the old
exactly.
stuff.
It makes it just a really awesome game, and it's definitely the Tekken sequel that I had hoped it would be.
Nice.
So 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Okay, well, before we go to our next topic, how about we do our moment with Mogan?
I don't want to.
For all that news.
All that news.
And
all
releases.
News and releases. So there's not a lot of news per se, but we do have some releases coming out. So Dream Break is coming September 12th. That is for PS4 and Xbox One.
Okay.
We also have NASCAR Heat 2.
Ooh, I'm so excited for that one.
Ooh, so excited. NASCAR gets my blood pumping. PS4, Xbox One, and PC also September 12th. Really, almost all of these are September 12th. Another amazing game that I'm really, really excited for. Pro Evolution Soccer 2018.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know how much I love Sport Ball.
Yep.
So, Sport Ball game coming out PS4, PS3, Xbox One,
Really?
Xbox 360.
They're still going.
And PC. September
I guess that makes
12th.
kind of sense for the sport games.
Sure. That just shows that they're weak.
That's interesting.
Yeah. They are doing a port of Rayman Legends, the definitive edition to the Switch, which I know a lot of people are still in love with Rayman Legends, so that's coming out September 12th.
Okay.
Again, that's only for the Switch. Divinity Original Sin 2, a PC exclusive right now, September 14th. Dishonored Death of the Outsider. That's one I'm getting. I am actually going to get that one. And that's for PS4, Xbox One, and PC, September 15th.
Nice.
So there's your upcomings. And then just in case you did miss it, I know a lot of people are really into the Monster Hunter series. So of course, as we're going to talk about here in a minute, Destiny 2 is now out.
Yep.
But on the same day, just kidding, a couple of days later, September 8th, my bad, Monster Hunter Stories came out for the 3DS. So Nintendo 3DS, Monster Hunter Stories. I have no idea how fans of the Monster Hunter series feel about Monster Hunter Stories. I know it's been a very popular series on PS4 and 3, so I'm interested to see if it actually picks up any steam.
Cool. Because I know we should check in because I think, who is it? Cody, I think, likes Monster Hunter series a lot.
Him and Bro Mogan, they love Monster
We need to
Hunter.
report on Monster Hunter Stories if it's any good.
Bro,
'Cause I know
get on it.
Cody's already messaged and been like, hey, like he's really excited for, I think when we did the E3 episode, he emailed in and was like, hey, I'm real excited for Monster Hunter World. The new
there's
one,
another
the one
one
that's
that's
coming
coming
out
out,
to
yes.
PS4 and I think Xbox One also.
I think so.
But because it's like the first main console game like that,
Right.
not a handheld version
Yeah.
like that. So he was pretty excited about that one.
Yeah, because they did actually do, I think it was Monster Hunter Generations. I could totally be wrong about that, but they did do a previous Monster Hunter game on the handhelds as well that I think was just a port of another console game. So we'll see how it's actually going to be received, and hopefully the future Monster Hunter series installment will also be well received because there's always been a bit of a fear that they might not make it to the West. So the fact that we're getting it at all is really kind of like, oh, thank God we're getting it.
All right. So the next topic that we wanted to talk about is Destiny 2 is out. I have been playing Destiny 2. And so I wanted to give a little bit, because we talked a little bit about the beta when I played the beta. So now I wanted to give a little bit more of my impressions of the game so far, where it stands. And so it's very much still Destiny, which is not a bad thing necessarily, because the core thing of Destiny I liked. It's just how they implemented it, especially with like the narrative of the story was very weak and it got a little too grindy. Destiny 2, though, is already, I can tell, so much better. Like, the story of it is so much better than what they did with Destiny 1, because they're not relying on those Grimoire cards that you would collect, and they'd be like, you want to learn more about this? Read this Grimoire card on Bungie.net. So you had to go
that is so lame.
Right? It was really weird.
Reading is for chumps.
Exactly.
What the hell?
Even though this is video game related reading, it's just like, no, don't make me leave this
No.
game to be able to go online and, and have to do this. With
That's
this
a
other
party
game.
foul right there.
Yeah, major party foul. But anyway, so with Destiny 2, the story is already so much better because they're actually using way better cutscenes and everything. And the main villain, Gaul, who is the leader of the Red Legion, which is a faction of the Cabal species, which I know you don't know as much about this.
Don't know any of
But they were kind of the back burner villains of Destiny 1. Like, there were the three different main baddies, the Fallen, or four actually. The Fallen, the Hive, the Vex, and the Cabal. And the Cabal were kind of like the ones who came in a little bit later in the game and you just fought them a little bit. They were usually pretty easy because they're big. And so they're easy to, they just are able to hit easier. But so now they take the front runners as the main villains in this one. And so far it's been really cool. It's been really interesting too to like see them talk because they like these really weird mouths and stuff.
Really?
And so like they do it in the cutscenes and all this. And it's more, and they're focusing more on a villain and making the villain more because they always referred to in Destiny 1 like the villain was the darkness, that was coming. And then the Fallen.
You told me about this, and I thought it was ridiculous.
And you would fight, in the first raid, you fought this guy, and then one of the DLC later, the Taken King was Oryx, who was the boss of the boss's father. The boss in the first raid, his father, which I'm forgetting his name now. But so you would fight him, and he would have some cutscenes and like some brief stuff, but like not a whole lot. But they're really letting you get to know Gaul and to understand Gaul and to make Gaul much more of a character, which I really appreciate. I already feel like there's so much more at stake with Destiny 2 than there was at Destiny 1. Again, it's this big ball showed up called the Traveler. It gave you this power, the light.
Just because.
Because it's like it chose you. It was able to vanquish the darkness, and now you're like fighting the people who are trying to get it. Okay. Like, that's not, like, it's stakes, but not real stakes. But this one, Gaul attacks at the very beginning, and this has been the whole thing. Like, they've always talked about this, is that the last city, which is the main hub, social area and stuff of original Destiny, is attacked by the Red Legion and destroyed, and the Traveler is taken. And so when that happens, you lose all your light, which is what gives you your abilities and powers. So you basically just become normal people again. Your ghosts work still, but not as effective. Those are the little robots that float around.
Oh, I was
beside
going to
you.
say, are ghosts powers? What the hell is that?
No, it's like a little. It's a little robot that floats around beside you and like gives you information and is able to revive. In the original Destiny, it's what revives you, because the light, it gives them the ability to revive you from death. So like you're kind of these super soldiers, but now like you've lost that light, and now you're easily defeated. You die. You're dead for real. Kind of stuff.
Okay.
So it adds a lot more of a stronger element to the story than what the original one had. So that out of the gate already worlds better than the other.
So, quick question. What is Gaul's motivation? What does he want?
He wants to steal the light for himself. Because he is building a massive empire for the Cabal, and he wants to be an immortal emperor, basically, of this new empire he's setting up.
Classic stuff.
At least at the outset from what he's said already in cutscenes, that's what his main motivation seems to be. That could change as I get more into the game, because I haven't completed the story yet. I mean, this is Saturday morning. It just came out on Wednesday, so I've only had a couple days with it, although I already see so many people who are level 20, which is the highest level you can get right now. I'm like, so quick! That's so quick!
That kind of blows my mind that level 20 is the cap.
Because as they release updates later, that's
they'll expand
it. Because it's kind of, the thing is with Destiny, like, it's the multiplayer, especially if you're PvP, is very much, if you're a high level, like, you get higher level gear, you have high powered weapons, that makes you able to crush in a lower level guys pretty easy. So it's kind of like they give you this cap where everybody can then get to, and then they extend it, then everybody can level up more.
That kind of makes sense. Yeah. I don't mind that system.
And they level it up through the DLC, and then also just like as stuff comes out, that just like they'll do updates with it. As far as the combat is still very Destiny from the first one. It's not too different. They've added different subclasses and everything, which I talked about when I talked about my gameplay of the beta. They added new subclasses for the three main heroes, which are Titan, Warlock, and Hunter. I'm a Hunter again. I just like that one a little bit more. You gotta branch
out, man.
It's cool because they have like throwing knives and stuff like that, and it's cool. I like the Hunters. They seem.
You want to be a space ninja?
Yeah.
I got you, bro.
So I'm Hunter again. And I'm choosing to use the new subclass, which is Arc Strider, I believe is what it's called. And so you get this big like bow staff basically as a special that you just like hack through people with. It's really badass when you get to use. Nice. And then it has the Golden Gun, which is the other one, or Gunslinger is the other special, and it's carried over from Destiny 1, and where basically you get like 3 rounds of this gun, but it's basically if not a one-shot kill, it will basically hurt somebody really bad.
So you're high noon, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And so with that, let's see, what else would I want to talk about? So yeah, the combat's very similar. They're adding in new enemies, which I like, and they also changed like this one thing with fallen soldiers that I've seen. They added, like most games, the second game comes out, they add a few new variations of enemies. But the one big change is a fallen soldier is called a Vandal. And in the first game, they stood upright. They had like multiple limbs, but they stood upright and walked around, and they would be, like they'd move really quick and dodge your attacks and things like that. But now they added in where they'll get down on fours and like spider crawl.
Oh no, that's not okay.
It was. I saw it the first time. I was like, "What the hell is this?"
I would have been like, "I'm done."
Yeah, and so that in itself, just like taking an older character and just doing a slight change that makes him a little bit difficult, a little bit more difficult to fight, has been really good. Where I'm at in the game right now, I just have started coming back into contact with the Hive. Obviously, I'm fighting the Cabal still because they're main guys. The Fallen are back since they come back really easy in the first. They come back very quickly in the first or second mission of the game.
And are the Hive and the Fallen not like equally concerned about the Cabal? Why aren't they trying to help?
I mean, they all fight each other. But it's just more infighting stuff.
Don't they know you have to team up to beat the big bad, and then you can fight each other?
Maybe they haven't been really affected by it yet. So,
maybe not. Maybe he only hates humans?
It's space politics.
Are you space humans?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, no, you're on Earth. But
you're on Earth.
You're on Earth, but there are other, like you go to other stuff. Like
okay,
I'm on the
gotcha.
Saturn's moon, or is it Titan? Is Titan Saturn's moon?
No, that's Jupiter, isn't it?
Okay, I think so. Anyway, moon of Titan. You're on that. And so you can go to...
Wait, is it Europa?
I don't know.
Now I'm going to have to look it up later. I used to love space crap. Anyways, continue.
I ignored all that. But anyway, so that's all happening. Story-wise, like I said, is a lot better than the first Destiny. Combat's basically the same with some new improvements and tweaks. The loot system is better in the fact that it feels more paced in the sense that I'm not getting really good stuff really quickly, but now as I'm leveling up, I'm just starting to get more good stuff. So it's keeping a nice... constant flow of loot coming in. I don't feel like I'm having to grind as hard. I've already got some exotics, which didn't happen, those are more mission rewards ones, not ones I found, but still, I got those way faster than I ever did in the first Destiny, which I think is a nice little touch to keep players involved.
So that the grind maybe isn't quite so
They've
brutal.
said they've made some serious improvements. Obviously, I'm not to the point yet where I'm really hardcore grinding because I'm not leveled up, maxed all the way, but they've said that the grind will not be near as difficult.
Also, my apologies, you were correct. Titan is a moon of Saturn.
Yes,
Europa is a moon of Jupiter.
Okay. Space stuff. We're just here talking about games.
We're all here to learn.
we don't know much about the space. But anyway, so the grind doesn't seem near as bad. And they've added in some extra story touches. Like in the first Destiny, they had some good, like, side characters that you would interact with who would give you quests. They're doing that also in this one. But they're also now have set up these different things throughout the world. Because before in Destiny 1, you would go around, and it's been a while since I played Destiny 1, so I could be forgetting things. But you would have these little side quests that you could do, but they also were some of the repetitive ones. Like, you go to this region and you could redo it to get the loot from that quest. But this one has added in regional chests that you could find, which the Destiny 1 had. Regional chests that you can get some loot from. There are also these things called lost zones, which you discover by going to a marker on the map. Then you have to search around to find it, and then you go into it, and then you have to beat a boss and stuff like that. They also have adventures, which are basically the side quests, where you do random tasks to get some different things. But they've added in a lot more flexibility in your options of what you can do, so you don't feel like you either have to replay the story missions or replay the strikes to keep getting new stuff.
Yeah, and I was about to ask, that's all in the campaign mode, right? Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That sounds really nice.
New little tidbit that they added in too is you actually have a map now.
They didn't have a map?
No.
That's unacceptable. And every game needs a map.
There were so many times in the first Destiny where I was like, okay, they're telling me to go here. I don't know where that is.
That is so stupid.
Right.
What kind of modern game doesn't have a map?
Right. So Destiny 2 now has a map, and it shows on the map where the markers for lost zones are.
Even Uncharted had a map.
That's true.
I'm just saying.
Ooh.
Worst game ever had a map.
But so they added in the map, and on it you can now track objectives. So you can go see where you can go for the adventures to start the adventures. You can see where some lost zones might be and some other different things to discover like that. So it's pretty good. It's pretty great in that way.
That is genuinely mind-blowing to me, that the first game didn't have a map system.
It was kind of confusing.
Because the things you just described as being part of the map system in Destiny 2 sound like total give-ins. How could they not have had that before?
So the map system of Destiny 1 was basically, you had your director that you could open, and that would show you all the different places you could go, the different planets and things like that. You would click on a planet, and then it would pull up a zoomed-in view of that, and it would show the different regions. You could not access that, though, unless you went back to the director, which means you had to leave the planet and go into space. Yeah.
That is so lame.
It's a little weird. But anyway, so that's a big, huge improvement.
Very nice.
From the original game.
Good.
The one thing, though, that has and now also in this one, since the tower's been destroyed, you're on this new place, the new social area where all the players interact and you can get new missions, vendors to buy new stuff.
The Speak Small, if you will.
Yeah. Is now a place called the Farm, which is legitimately a decrepit farm that's being turned into a refugee site because of everyone fleeing the city.
Right.
And so it's just it's nice to have a new one. The old Destiny 1 had a couple different ones. Like I think there was the tower and then there was the reef, which was on like this asteroid belt way out in space. And then now I've kind of discovered not a secondary one, but Titan also has a smaller version of that. It doesn't have any vendors except for the main Captain Sloan, who's there, who's like she leads the forces there, and you can talk to her and you can buy stuff from her and get new missions and stuff like that. The one thing, though, that has stood out that I was not anticipating this as a huge change, but is a big change and is so much better than the original, the music is fucking fantastic.
Really?
Like, it's from just the beginning themes and like some fighting stuff, even the music that plays when you're in the farm. I love the music of Destiny 1. I thought it was great because it was Martin O'Donnell, Michael Salvatore, and a few other, I cannot remember their names, but a big collaboration between like 4 composers. Now this one is the one since Bungie fired Martin O'Donnell.
Oh, fired, burned. Was it a big
several
deal?
Years back.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, gotcha.
It was a big deal, but it was several years back. I think he wound up not doing the music for the last 2 DLC of Destiny 1. And so, but Michael Salvatore is still on. And so it's Michael Salvatore. I got to look this up because I got to give proper cred where credit is due. But anyway, it's just, I don't know. Like, I haven't had a chance to listen to the actual soundtrack yet, but as standalone by itself. But it's just like in the farm, it's this piano piece, this slower piano piece, which seems a little not Destiny-esque, but it fits really, really well. And I've seen multiple people even on like Reddit and different things like that. They're like, guys, the soundtrack is great. So I've really.
Now I'm really probably going to go back and listen to some of the soundtrack. I never had pegged Destiny for being good in the music department.
Destiny 1, if you want to pick up some good ones, like The Last Array from Destiny 1 is a great theme, or is a great song. The Traveler is like the main menu theme and stuff like that. It's also a really good one too. That's Cabal Stomp is another great.
Cabal Stomp.
Yeah, is another
that sounds like
another
cool
great
song.
track. So Destiny 2's music was composed by Michael Salvatore, Sky Lewin, C. Paul Johnson, Rhoda Moav, and Peter Schlosser.
Peter Schlosser.
C. Paul Johnson helped on the first Destiny. He was also a composer on the first Destiny. But yeah, so I don't think it's on Spotify yet, and because I just bought the game, I haven't bought the soundtrack yet, so I haven't had a chance to listen to the full thing. But the music for it has been absolutely outstanding.
Are you probably going to buy the sowntrack?
Oh, yeah. It's that
very
good.
nice.
Like
Do you know how long it is in total runtime? Because I know the soundtrack for that dinosaur.
Horizon.
There we go.
4 hours? Yeah.
4 hours.
I don't think it's 4 hours.
That's insane. But
the nice thing is with Destiny 2 is that they always release the soundtracks for each DLC as well, or expansion. So Destiny 2 is 44 songs. Does not tell me total runtime on what I'm looking at here. But still, yeah. So let me see if it's got I want to see if we can listen to like a little.
Yeah, play me a little bit of the soundtrack. Play me that Stomp one, Cabal Stomp.
Oh, Cabal Stomp?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Where is it?
I'm ready.
Just like a war theme.
Of course. So they're Empire Strikes Back, if you will.
Yep.
It even kind of sounds like the Empire Strikes Back.
It does. Okay, so I was going to see if I could see the... Stop playing. Maybe this is it? This is from Destiny 2.
That one's very pretty.
And it's called EDZ, or European Dead Zone in the game is what that's called.
Okay, gotcha.
Anyway, so that was something that I expected the music to be good, just because Destiny 1's music was good. But to come in and like hear these new themes and these new takes on this, you still hear the same themes and motives from the first Destiny in there, but just the new additions, like especially like I said, the backing track for the farm is incredible. And I've just been blown away by how good the music is to it.
Very nice.
So outside of that, I can't really think of much else. Obviously the new raid is launching next week. So hopefully that was the big thing that I want to correct my error with Destiny 1 is since not many of my friends were playing it or it was difficult to hook up to the right time, I never played any of the raids, which were a big part with leveling up and doing that with the original Destiny. I'm not going to let that happen with Destiny 2.
Not going to get left behind again.
No, not going to get left behind. So I'm definitely going to try to get in on the raids. The strikes, which are like these side mission things you can do to also get more loot. They're difficult, but not as hard as like a full-on raid. They can they can range from anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour to beat, whereas like raids can, depending on how many times you die, what difficulty you're playing it on, it can be, I've seen from Destiny 1, like 5 to 6 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So it can be pretty intense things. So those are coming out in the next week. So obviously I haven't had a chance to play those and see how those compare to the old one. As far as I remember when I was talking about the beta that I was like, this feels a little light for a beta and stuff like that. But the nice thing is even though you play the first 2 missions of the game, I realize now that they did some things like in the beta of Destiny 2, when you're doing the first mission, you go to this area and you collect some guns and they give you an exotic hand cannon, which is a revolver, basically.
Exotic hand cannon.
Exotic is like the highest rarity level.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And so they give you one there. And I was like, oh, wow, I already got one. Cool. And so you got to play with it there. When the game starts in the actual game, you don't get that. You just get like a standard very common gun that you get that you just use until you finally start leveling up. So they made changes from the beta, and I've been impressed with the differences that I have felt. The Crucible is really fun. They got a whole, which is what they call the multiplayer PvP part of it. They have a lot of cool modes. Like this one mode is they have like in a competitive. The competitive Crucible is basically you have to set these charges and you have to defend them from the enemy, and you can either kill the enemy or defend the charges. Or you can set the charge and then, just defend it until it blows up. Things like that. And it switches with each round, which role each team has.
Gotcha.
Then there's standard deathmatch, control, where you take points and hold them. Supremacy is one that's for those who have played Call of Duty, it's very similar to Kill Confirmed, which is basically you kill it and then the enemy drops something, you have to collect that for it to count towards your score.
Oh, interesting.
And but if the enemy teammate is able to recover it before, then you don't get the point.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So those are really fun, fast-paced, high-paced matches right there. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting one of the other modes. But so the Crucible is like one of my favorite parts to play of Destiny, and that's what I played majority of with the first Destiny because that's when I could.
Story mode sucked so much.
Yeah, I had to kind of go to the multiplayer, which it's just fun. They also handle weapons layouts differently. There's lots of different things I could go on with this. I don't want to burrow it down with too many fine details. Oh, they changed this tiny little thing, but they have changed a little bit with they have kinetic weapons, energy weapons, and power weapons. Which before so far they haven't. Which energy weapons are now they have some kind of flame, void, and arc, like electricity power up to them, and they're helpful at taking down shields and things like that. Then you also had your kinetic weapons, which are more like your standard automatic rifle, semi-automatic rifle, hand cannons, different things like that. And then the power weapons are like rocket launchers, sniper rifles, shotguns.
Awesome.
Which are really cool.
Good
but
weapons.
That's a big difference, though, because in Destiny 1, you could have shotguns, sniper rifles, and stuff as main weapons, not power weapons, which require special ammunition.
Okay.
So especially in the Crucible, where you can only get ammunition for power weapons from power ammo drops, that happen every minute and a half when there's only 2 places on the map where you can get them. And so, and it's the first person who gets to those gets it. So it's interesting how much they limited not being able to use sniper rifles and shotguns and stuff like that in Crucible, as opposed to how they had it in the original, where you could just be running around sniping people all day and that was your main thing. But now it's like a backup. So I'm interested to see how much that is, because I like sniping, or try to like sniping. I like to think I'm good at it, but I'm not.
I hate sniping. I'm so bad at
it. So that's an interesting little difference that they threw into the Crucible area, at least in how it handles the weapons. Overall, though, I'm really enjoying it right now. I will say, caveat to that, I said the same thing about Destiny 1.
I was about to say, I can't wait to hear the 1 month follow-up of, so Destiny 2 sucks.
So I'll definitely have to give a follow-up to it, because because That's the exact same thing. It's the same thing with happened with Division and Destiny both. I get into them, I love it at first, but then as I get into it, I have to like spend all the time into it and grinding. That's when I got tired of it. So I'm interested to see if that's going to happen again with Destiny 2. So far, the improvements that they've made have made it better than Destiny 1, and that excites me. So I have hope, but I'm not holding my breath quite yet.
Maybe that's an industry standard other games can start using. Make your first game kind of mediocre, so that way the follow-up is like amazing by comparison.
That's true. But then, that's also a risk because then if it's really terrible, then you don't get to
really bad.
Then you don't get to follow through on these great plans you had for the sequel. So, it is what it is. But anyway, so that has been my time in Destiny 2.
Very exciting.
All right, well, I think that's pretty much all we had for today to talk about. So without further ado, though, we will skip over to our song contest, and Mogan has our hint for us this week.
All right, I'd like to start by saying I thought of this hint. No one else thought of this hint before. Certainly not any people that are regulars of the show or who may have submitted a recent song contest to the show as well. So the hint is the real adventure happens under the sea.
Wait, I'm pretty sure I heard this.
No, I don't think you have. I don't think. No.
I think I think our good friend Dylan Biles may have used this one a couple weeks ago.
That doesn't ring any bells. So yeah, the real adventure happens under the sea.
Oh. Okay, so we'll give you guys a little hint. It's not Echo the Dolphin.
It's not Echo the Dolphin.
Because that was Dylan's with the same hint. But anyway, so the hint is, once again, the real adventure happens under the sea. I have no idea what this could be. So
totally going to be The Little Mermaid comes to PS4.
Yes.
It's not a real game.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Funny.
That's the hit, the sleeper hit of 2017.
The sleeper hit of 2017.
All right, well, so for the song contest, for those of you who don't know, contest goes live Wednesday, 9 a.m., the day after this episode goes live. We'll put a post out on Facebook and Twitter. First person to respond to those posts with the correct game wins. And will then get to send us a song and hint for a future episode. So, Wednesday, 9 a.m., hint for this week is The Real Adventure Happens Under the Sea.
Never been done before.
Totally new. It's brand new. You're hearing it here first.
Yeah.
All right, well, that wraps up this episode of Team Chat Podcast. Until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined to my right by Rachel Mogan.
Adios.
We will see you all next time. Stick around for the song.